Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you're joining from us, the world in today. Welcome to the SpunkGo webinar. I'm Netra Venkatesh, the founder of SpunkGo. Today's speaker is Kyzzhibek Batyrkanova. She's the program director at Kyrzhyz Space Program, an all-women-led team working towards building Kyrgyzstan's first nano-satellite, as well as a champion advocate for STEM and girls. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome Kyzzhibek to talk about the challenge of space and what her job involves. Just a side note, Q&A will be done through the chat feature below after our presentation, where she will answer all questions. SpunkGo is an all-girls global student organization to charity. If you need any other details, please visit our website, www.spunkgo.com. And with that, the floor is now yours, Kyzzhibek.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for having me here today. And I guess I would like to share a presentation with everyone just to tell more about the work that we do and about myself, the journey that led me to this specific place that I didn't choose from the early childhood. So please let me share my screen at first. Yeah, great. I think, yeah, I guess we're sharing. Yeah, so I work at the Krgyz Space Program. In other words, we are called Satellite Building School for Girls. So we have been open for more than 3 years, and our main goal is to assemble and to launch the satellite into space, which will basically be the first ever satellite built in the independent Kyrgyzstan. So our program only features girls. So we have only an only girl team. And why is that? So this is the statistics from my country, the latest one that we have. And what you can see from the graph is that mostly girls and women, they tend to choose more humanitarian, or as we call them, social sciences. And men tend to choose a more technical sciences to study and then to pursue as their career. So why it happens? It happens mainly due to the stereotypes that social sciences are suitable for girls and technical sciences are suitable for men, which is, as we already know, is not really true. And this stereotype, they just hold women back from obtaining their degrees in engineering or in software programming or in other technical skills that are also very well paid. So what kind of satellite we are going to be launching? So we have a term, new space. This is the new space that uses newest technologies that are comparatively cheaper. And therefore, our satellite is going to be a CubeSat nanosatellite. So it usually weighs from 1 to 10 kilograms. And it's very small, as you can see, it's 10 by 10 by 11 centimeters. So it usually orbits 300 to 400 kilometers. Also, on the level of the ISS, the International Space Station. And its lifespan varies from 0, I would say, so if the mission is not successful, to 5 months on average, but there are some missions that could last up to for 2, even more years, which was really great. So there are 2 types of launches and deployments. So one from the rocket and one from the International Space Station. Unfortunately, this is a GIF, but it wasn't able to upload fully. So we opt to choose the International Space Station deployment. This is when the special deployer ejects your satellite into space. And also one of the benefits of launching from the International Space Station is that you have a photo and video footage. When you deploy from a rocket, sometimes it's not possible to do photos or videos of your satellite going into space. So we want it to be memorable for us. Also, I'd like to tell about my country. So, I live in Kyrgyzstan. This is the Central Asian region. I think you can look it up in Google if you don't know where we are at. It's a very beautiful and picturesque country. I really love it. But one thing is that we are not very developed and we are very politically unstable as well. And therefore, it leads to some other social and economical problems that affect people's lives. And of course, it leads to the patriarchal system where women are given, well, let's say, less rights de facto. So there are laws that regulate it, but unfortunately, in real life, they don't usually work, and we don't have a lot of women in parliament or other very important decision making workplaces. And I think not many women choose to become engineers or satellite builders like we did just because they don't go and study, as we just discussed at the very beginning. Also, another thing is that our country was a part of the USSR, the Soviet Union, and during the Soviet Union, the city that I live in, it's the capital, which is called Bishkek. It had a special design bureau of the Institute of Space Research, and it manufactured components and parts of different satellites and shuttles for the Soviet Union. It was very successful. Unfortunately, after the collapse of Soviet Union, everything was relocated to Russia, and we didn't have any specialists or specialists who remained in our country and were locals. They didn't have jobs. So what we're also trying to do is to revive the space industry in our country because nowadays we don't have any infrastructure, no specialists besides our team. So what we did first was to create an all-female team of satellite builders. So half of our team has absolutely no background in engineering. So half studied humanitarian or social sciences. And when they came to program, like I also came to program, what we did was to attend classes and learn some practical things like soldering, programming, 3D modeling, theoretical part about space and the satellite structures. Yeah. Also, what we did next was to find mentors with an extensive background in aerospace engineering. It was very important because, as I mentioned, in our country, we don't have any aerospace engineering departments, universities, or anything else. Therefore, we had to go global and find some mentors globally from the overseas or from other neighboring countries as well. We also performed some technical projects to advance in engineering. Most of us did it for the very first time, and we had to learn ourselves. It was, I would say, very challenging, but a great thing to learn from. Also, another important part is that because we want to create a positive impact in the society and not only locally, if you are doing something great, you really need to speak about that in order to share your experience and to probably inspire other girls as well. Therefore, our main goal is also to become recognizable through international media and to probably find the people who also share our ideas and thoughts and to inspire more women. Finally, our greatest moment was when we started working with actual satellites. It was in 2020. Unfortunately, those trainings couldn't be so intensive, as you know, because of COVID, and for the most part, we had to stay at home. But when we got the chance to go to the office, we tried our hands for the first time at our work with the educational satellites. It was really exciting, and we are still working with it and learning more about satellites. Another part, I would say, another great work that we are doing. Well, it was before COVID, but we still have plans to continue our work in education. Is that our team educated more than 100 girls and women, basics of the engineering. And those were different girls and women of different ages, of different background. And they were really happy to inspire most of them because they never did something like that. They didn't know about STEM. And we just showed them that this is possible and they can do it as well. This is not only a manly job. And if they like, they would probably continue their path. And also, we did some pilot project. So the problem is, I guess, for many countries is that if you are, sorry, if you're not very developed, but still you have some technologies, most of them are concentrated in the capital city or in the big cities. And this is also something that happens in our country because we have a lot of software engineers in the capital or in the big cities. But our countryside is very underdeveloped, I would say, because many children they don't have access to internet through the computers, or they don't have their own laptops or computers at home, and they spend like 1 hour a week or 1 hour in 2 weeks working with computers at schools, which is a really small amount of hours. Yeah, therefore we thought that our team could also collaborate with the UN Women Office in our country and create something like a training in the countryside. And I think we successfully implemented one of our pilot projects before the COVID. We were able to test that and to see how the girls and boys in the rural areas live. Like, do they have an exposure to the technologies or not? And most of them, unfortunately, didn't, and they didn't know even about the universities. They didn't have this information. It was important for us probably to tell them more about it. And we conducted this tech camp. We taught them how to solder, how to program, how to basically use the computer. We also talked with them about volunteering. We talked about the education and what they can study in the future, because in rural areas, unfortunately, there is not much information about that. So this is our graduation ceremony. So I guess this is very short about the work that we mainly do as a team. Of course, our main goal is to assemble and to launch the satellite, but along the way, we are capable of doing so many things, and especially in terms of educating other people and showing that technologies are not scary. You can do it. It's not very difficult. You just need to find the people who will support you. And I will also shortly tell about myself. Oops, I think there was a photo. Just pardon me for a moment. I will stop sharing the screen. Okay. Yeah, because I had two identical presentations and one just had a photo of me here. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah. So while I'll be telling you about myself, I'll be showing out these photos. This is my graduation ceremony around 5 years ago, I'd say. I got my bachelor's degree, and I really love this photo because I think that education is really valuable for most of us, like in everyone, because with any education, anything is possible. And I will just tell you shortly about my journey, how I ended up being a satellite builder in a technical field. So, as you might have heard from me at the beginning, we have a country that supports the views that the girls should do, this female jobs, and men should be, engineers, they should be presidents, and the girls are usually asked, like, will you be the wife of the president, not the president yourself. So I was born in the 90s, and therefore, I guess for people who were brought up in the Soviet Union, it was a very harsh time because it was the period of the collapse of the Soviet Union, and each country had to understand how to live in the future. And so for my parents, I guess it was also a very difficult time. They did their best they could to provide me with education. So I wasn't born to a rich family, I would say, but I'm very grateful for what they have done so far to me. And when I was small, I wanted to become a teacher or a scientist because I read a lot of books about that. But unfortunately, I knew I didn't have a lot of, role models of women who worked in science, actually, especially from my country. And I think I was really upset about that. And therefore, I thought, well, maybe I should end up being a lawyer or maybe an economist, because this is what women usually did back then in my country. And I never thought, in fact, that I could become a software engineer or an engineer myself. And there were a lot of obstacles that I faced. And I guess the first obstacle was the society. And the second obstacle was partly my family, but I don't blame them. It's just because the society shapes you this way. And I just came to my father. I guess I was around 12 or 13 years old. And I said, "Oh, Dad, I want to be an engineer. Like, I read about engineering and I really love physics. And I think this is what I really want to do in the future." Our country is not very developed in engineering. I would say not many people do it, not many people study it. And I guess my dad was surprised that he heard it. And he said, "Well, darling, I think it's too late for you to become an engineer." I guess it was just because he didn't have enough information about that, or he didn't dream a lot. And I guess this was something that made me go one step back. And I thought, probably my father is right. And I cannot become an engineer in the future. So I should do something easier. And then back at school, I really loved physics. I really loved math. Like, I really loved all technical sciences. I really loved programming. It's, I think, a great thing that we had programming lessons at school, though they were very basic, like 1 hour a week or 1 hour in 2 weeks. And when I applied to university to obtain my bachelor's degree, there was a choice of me going to economics or to a software engineering department. And of course, it was, I think, in 2012, and information about, feminism, about women empowerment was not really there, like a lot. I think it started like 3 years later. And my mom said, you should go to economics or software engineering. But I was too scared to go to software engineering because I thought, well, I'm a woman. I cannot do these things. And society ensured me that I cannot do that. I will not be sitting at my computer, for 24 hours a day. And then I went to study economics. What they didn't tell me is that economics, my department, also involved programming. So we had to work with the data. So now this, we call it data analysis, right? Data science. And then when I started studying it, I understood that it's not so difficult. Actually, the programming is our future. And in the future, everyone has to at least know the basics of programming. And I thought, maybe after university, I should go and study software engineering. Well, my main major was financial management. And I had to go to work in the auditing company as an auditor. So these are usually people who check, all these books, financial stuff, and they recommend the companies how to grow and so on and so forth. But then I decided that probably I don't want to work in the corporate world. I want to do something that has
So, gua
a,
mo siya yan, no?
that has a meaning. And I just started teaching English. So I didn't do a lot. But then when I came up with this project, there was a call for applications to build the satellite in our country. And at first, I didn't believe that this could happen in my country because we are so far, far away from space exploration. And I decided that probably this program would be a great foundation for educational courses or educational programs. And this is what we now successfully do as well with my team. And this is really great. And I joined this program. I was really scared because I don't know many technical things except for programming. But I think it was really challenging for me and my team because we couldn't believe in our own powers and that we are still young to learn a lot of things. But then I think I never regretted that I came from non-technical sphere to a very technical sphere. And I believe that in the future, every sphere of our life will be really closely connected to software engineering or engineering in general. And I think this is really great because this opens up so many opportunities for all of us. And I think this is what everyone should really try to understand if you like it or not. Of course, if you don't want to work in technical field, it's totally fine because even technical field has a lot of professions that are not very technical, like project management, or I know about many job opportunities in big corporations where you don't have to, code or develop something very technical, but maybe you can work with people. So it's a really great industry, I would say, where you can develop not only as a specialist, but also as a personality with lots of great people. So I guess if you'd like to ask also some questions about my life and the role of society in shaping my career choices, yeah, we can also talk about that. And I think this is a brief information about me and on how I ended up uh, being in this industry. And the most interesting thing is that in the future, I'm not sure if I will stay in this field or if I continue to pursue my career in it. But I guess this is a very helpful thing in your life in general, and it gives you a lot of choices. And also, if you would like to probably connect with us with our program, you can support us on Patreon or through PayPal, or you can probably share this information with people you know. You can also contact us through so via email, or you can follow us on social media. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you very much. And if you have some questions, I think we can definitely take a look at them and answer.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. And we actually do have a few questions here. So our first question is from Cassie, and she says, how do you think the idea of women not going into technical sciences came about? So what did this stem from?
Well, this is a difficult question. I would say very philosophical on the one hand. Well, I can only have an assumption. So, what I personally think about that. So, I think that this is about the patriarchal system, and it's about the men who are usually in power like to use all the economical and social resources, probably sometimes to abuse the power, but not always. And you know that technical sciences are usually very highly paid. Therefore, usually men go and study them. And I guess it has a very, very, complex system problem that we also have to solve, a lot of stereotypes around that. But I guess, yeah, it has to do way like long back ago in our history when when men were governing and women were mainly sitting at home delivering birth to babies and raising the children. Because I guess technical sciences sometimes, like back then, required a lot of time and commitment, but nowadays with automation, like any person can basically do it. So I guess it has to do with the economical and social things. Yeah. Very interesting question. Thank you.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think it has somewhat evolved over the years. Our next question is, where do you launch these satellites from?
That's a very good question because we don't know that yet. Know that our planet, like Earth, has a lot of cosmodromes. I think around 20. And when you have small satellite, you usually contact with a company that collects all these small satellites in one box, and they can connect you to any rocket, like Falcon 9, or it can be Soyuz in Russia. So the satellite launch place is decided when you sign the contract with the launch service company. We haven't done that yet, so we don't know about that. But I guess once we do it, we'll definitely post it in our social media. But yes, you can do it from Baikonur or other cosmodromes.
That's very interesting to know. Okay. Um, What advice would you give women who want to pursue a technical education and profession?
Well, from my own experience, I would say is not to be afraid is the first advice I would give. It's just because, you know, there are a lot of stereotypes and there will be a lot of pushbacks that you'll have. And every time you want to pursue something, some people might want to stop you there just because they don't believe in you. But the first thing that you need to do is to always believe in yourself at the first place. And the second thing, in order to enrich that, I would say, inspiration and trust in yourself, is to find the people who do believe in you and that can push you forward to your goal. So when you are surrounded by the people who are very close to you in terms of the missions, they understand what you want to do, then you feel more empowered. And this is also another thing why we do such, we have this kind of conversations for me to empower you and for you to empower other people. And then we build a community that pushes each other toward our goals.
That really is great advice, and it is a chain that we start empowering and it keeps going on. What type of difficulties did you face personally?
Mm, well, I wouldn't say that I had a lot of professional difficulties because I was very lucky to work in a female only teams or the teams where people didn't really suffer from sexism or gender discrimination. But I would say in the society that I live in, it's a little bit hard sometimes because people don't take you seriously when you say that you are a female engineer or that you can lead this type of project, or when they hear your age. I am 26 right now, and a lot of people who are grown up, they don't take my age seriously. And I'm like, well, at 23, I became a program director of the space program in my country. So, and I know a lot about it. So my age doesn't have to do anything, or my gender doesn't have to do anything with what I do. And I guess those were the main difficulties, is how the society views you, because we are a very conventional society. We have a lot of people who are conservative, and therefore this is the way the people perceive me. And I always have to, prove to stand my ground. And sometimes it's a little bit tiring. But I guess what I mentioned before is that when you have a community of people like you feel really empowered and with the practice, everything becomes better. So now I can probably defend myself better and I feel more confident.
Of course, it's very important to have a support system that you know you can go to whenever. Mhm. What fields would you suggest for females?
Hmm, that's a very interesting question because I don't have any specific suggestions, just anything you like. Because nowadays technology made everything available to everyone, and you can choose whatever you want. Of course, as a woman, I understand that there are some difficulties. For example, we have to take the maternity leaves, or we, for example, have to raise the children if the partner, let's say, works, or if we decide to separate our responsibilities this way. So it's really important, right, to think of these things. But I would suggest you not to choose the field, but choose the employer who provides you with a convenient, uh, well, I forgot that word in English, was uh, convenient, well, not measures, but with general convenience. So he makes you feel comfortable. So if you can take the maternity leave, they let you take the maternity leave and then come back to work, or they organize, let's say, kindergarten for your children, and they generally don't discriminate you. So this is the thing that I would suggest, and just do whatever you like the best, because no one should tell you what you should do.
I think that Question is, some of these girls have low self-esteem to take on such careers. What is your word of advice for them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's very important to believe in yourself. Well, I think I already repeated that, but I can repeat it all day long. That you should believe yourself. You should educate yourself. And nowadays, we live in such a great time when we have all resources available in the internet, and you can definitely gain some hard skills from there. You can also find people that you can talk with who can support you. And the first thing is that you have to remember that you're worth everything, that you just need to believe in yourself and to commit to the thing that you do and work for that.
After your success, are more women now exploring careers like space or technical, or are things just the same in your country in terms of stereotypes?
Mhm. Well, I would say that not only our program contributes to women empowerment in STEM, but there are a lot of women who also work in software engineering and engineering in general, and the numbers are growing. And we have created a community here in our country that inspires all these women. And I guess partially this contributes to the girls' thoughts of pursuing a career in STEM. Of course, I wouldn't say that we have a very developed aerospace engineering industry. Like we don't have anything at all. Like only our team does it because many people think it is difficult. But in general, the technical field is growing, and especially the number of women. Of course, there are some backlashes. There are some people who think conventionally, but I guess we'll balance that out, yeah, in the future. Well, at least I hope to do that.
That really is amazing to hear. And I know that maybe now it might be small, but definitely in the future it will evolve to something much bigger. What would you do to encourage women to do and avoid being discouraged by society? And how should we deal with the issues of financial difficulties in society?
Oh, yeah, these are difficult questions, I would say. Okay, so how would I encourage women? I can give you advice, but this is personal from my experience. And what I did was to be very confident in myself and basically don't think what others think. And unfortunately, it happened with my family. My family didn't want me to do a lot of things, like not all the family, but some family members. They wanted me to be very feminine. They didn't want me to be, financially independent. They wanted me to get married very early. And unfortunately, I just had to break ties with them. I don't really communicate with them a lot, but it really helped me because when those ties were partially broken, I really felt the freedom to do what I want because there were less people who would constantly tell me what I had to do. And that really made my head free of their opinion. Of course, I wouldn't suggest doing it for everyone, especially if you're very close to your family members or to the society you live in. But sometimes it helps. Well, it really helped in my case, and after that some of my family members, they really started respecting me because they understood that in the end I was correct. Another thing, the funny thing that my mother usually tells is that if people don't feed you, if people don't give you food, their opinions shouldn't matter to you. So the only opinion should matter is the opinion of close people and what you really think you want. Because looking back, I would say that if I didn't believe everything people said, I think I would progress more. So I should trust my gut more than I do to others. And I think dealing with the issue of financial difficulties in the society, the only thing is what I learned from the university because I took the economic development class. And what the statistics has shown in many countries is that education is the primary key to the development of the country and in financial terms as well. So the more educated your community, your country is, the more developed you are because intellectual work brings you more money because you can probably come up with some ideas how to automate work, how to come up with some startups or some great ideas, and I guess the more educated the society is, the better off is everyone.
Definitely, I think that makes sense, and it would overall impact the level of literacy in countries. How do you get information required to make and launch a satellite? As I'm guessing it's not easy to get all the information required.
Definitely, definitely. I agree that it's very difficult because aerospace engineering is one of the top secret industries in the world. So it's not very easy. And many private companies, they're also competing between each other to make the best thing. That's why we have to sign, a lot of NDAs and so on. And I think it was one of the main challenges in our program as well, because as you already learned, we didn't have aerospace engineering like for 30 years in a row. It means that we have no knowledge management in our country. And of course, at the beginning, we Googled everything. There wasn't much, or at least we couldn't understand a lot. And we had to learn, step by step, very slowly. It was a super slow process. And I guess sometimes we had anxiety because of that. But as I mentioned, we found some wonderful mentors who were and that have been guiding us along through our journey and are still doing that and will be doing that, and they provided us with some very useful information. And we also had some wonderful people who paid for our trainings and so on and so forth. So, very small steps we're taking to that, but I guess in 3 years we have really progressed. And the best thing is that I know UNICEF in the neighboring country of Kazakhstan, they did kind of similar project, and they also included the knowledge management thing into their program. And together with them, I guess we will be creating a program where you will be able to assemble and launch the satellite, like a step-by-step guide from our team are successfully once we successfully launch our satellite.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I hope to see that soon.
Yeah, thank you.
What are some examples of the impact you have made or lessons from your career in the space industry that we can learn from?
hmm So I guess the most significant impact that we have made is that we were able to teach girls and women because in our robotics class that we have for children, they are mostly attended by boys, and I think this is horrible, well, in my opinion. And that's why our great impact was that we were able to gather all these women, like more than 100, and to welcome them into this world, of technology, and to show them, this might be exciting for you, and this is not difficult. And we, as a team, are really proud of that we gave a chance for some people probably to open something new in their lives. And probably change their careers. And the lessons learned from my career is that you can only be as good as your team, and you should really value the people around you, especially the people who you work with, because only a good team management and teamwork can make you achieve such great things. Because I guess that I really am thankful for the team that I have. They're also very young. Like, I'm the oldest in the team, and they're really young. We are thriving, we are suffering sometimes, but we are doing it together. And I can feel that we are pushing each other towards what we are doing. And it's really great that I found the people who believe in me and who I believe in. And I guess this is the first advice and the lesson learned I would say is that the people around you are really helpful and beneficial to your growth.
That's very inspiring. Mhm. Our next question here is, at any place in your journey, did you ever feel like you could give up, or were you going to give up?
Oh, of course, of course. Like every day is a struggle, and every day you have to wake up and understand that you have to do an important job. And I think this is what partially wakes me up every day, that makes me get up and go to my job and do the work, is that I understand that I have a mission and it's really important, but it's very hard. When you're doing something new in the country and it's something like a rocket science, it's extremely difficult. It's very hard. You want to give up like every day, but then you remember why you do it, like what drives you. And then I understand that I shouldn't give up and I should keep going as long as I can. So it's another, I think, advice that I usually give to people is that you should find something that really drives you. So your work should inspire you and other people around you, and that will make you go on.
What words of encouragement would you give to the girls from your country who are attending the call today, as we've recently opened a new chapter in Kyrgyzstan?
Hmm. Well, just, be strong. Be strong enough to be bold. And of course, yeah, just believe in yourself and be brave to choose your own path in life. And certainly, we will definitely help you because we are very close to you and you can inspire us just like we can inspire you. Just because the girls from Kyrgyzstan, from my country, they understand all the obstacles and challenges that we are facing. And I guess what I would just suggest is to believe in yourself the most and know that you have a support and we can also support you as a team.
Kyrgyzstan says they were very proud of you, so I would definitely agree with them. Mhm. So this is a bit of a question along with a story, and this may involve more scientific answer. So yesterday, my 5-year-old daughter was asking, "What is Sputnik?" I said it was the first satellite made by Russians, and later she asked me what a satellite was. I was stuck and didn't know how to explain the functions of a satellite properly. What would you offer to unexperienced moms in this case, and what should kids read and watch to better understand and explain these concepts?
Oh, this is really a great question. I would say it has to do with an educational approach. I suggest that probably you watch some YouTube videos for kids. Well, I'm not sure though. There are some Russian ones. Yeah, and then unfortunately, I have to agree that a lot of information is given in English language that you can find there. There are great books about aerospace engineering design specifically for children. But the best thing I would suggest is just going on YouTube, some satellite for kids explanation. I think they are the best. This is how we partially studied as well. And I guess, well, I went to a bookstore like not very long time ago, and fascinating is that I found some books about aerospace engineering and about space explorations, about satellites, and they were specifically designed for children to read, and they were in Russian. Um, and well, I was very upset just because in my childhood we didn't have a lot of books like that. And nowadays, children are very, very fortunate to have them. So you can definitely check out the bookstores as well in the children's section where they talk about space and everything else. There are a lot of interesting books you can find.
So I think this will be the last question before I hand over to our closer, and that is, who inspired you? Do you have sort of like a role model or someone to look up to?
Oh, yeah. So my mom, at first, I think she was an inspiration to me. I was really scared to mess up my education. I was always, scared that I would have to quit my university because I had low grades, or at school I would be really scared that my mom would be upset because of me or my grades. So I guess my number one inspiration is my mom. Like, she is a really hard working woman, and I really get all of these things from her. Another thing is that I was really inspired by our first female president, Rosa Otunbayeva. She was the president of our country, I think, from 2010 to 2012. And also, there is another great woman. She's a Kyrgyz scientist, Asel Sarbaeva. She is a scientist who works in the UK, but she studied and she was born in Kyrgyzstan. And now she works, I guess, with the vaccines. And she got an award for the vaccine storage, I guess. Well, she doesn't work with COVID vaccines, but she works with vaccines in general. And she has become a great role model for all the girls and women in our country, because in my childhood, we didn't have a lot of women who worked in technology or science. And now she's a great role model that I look up to. Like, she's also our inspiration.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time here today. Do you have any last words that you would like to say to the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So just, you can do anything you want. Just believe in yourself. Don't let anyone, upset you or say that you're not worthy of doing something. Girls can do anything, and even go to space. Of course, there are some days that you'll probably feel upset about yourself, or you'll feel not so brave enough to do something. It's totally fine. It's okay. Always, I also do feel like this sometimes. But, at the end of the day, I have my team, my squad, that tells me that I can do anything. And I wish you to find such an amazing people in your environment, in your surroundings, that can always cheer you up and tell you that you are a superwoman.
Thank you so much. And I'll now be handing over to Mutasi to close the webinar. Mutasi, I think you're on mute. Okay, I don't think her mic is working, but thank you so much for this very inspirational session. I think your advice was very useful, and it could definitely help more girls into the fields like technology and engineering. If anyone needs any more details, do visit our website, www.spunko.com. Thank you so much and have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye
Kyzzhibek.
bye and thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
It's an informative webinar. Thank you so much, SpunkGo.
Thank you from Kenya.
From Uganda, thank you so much, SpunkGo. It was very, very interesting. Bye-bye.
Thank you from Malawi.
Thank you from Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Kyzzhibek.